First question, Coach, will be on the Zoom from Bob Tron.
Thanks, Jeff. Hi, Coach. How are you? Nice to meet you. Good luck to you, Coach.
Thank you.
Good. Hey, Coach, can I ask you about your San Antonio experience real briefly? I know you've coached in other situations, of course, but, I go back to that 2014 team that the motion offense was just the best ever. Question I wanted to ask you was, how do you incorporate maybe some of those principles with emphasizing Jalen and Jason's amazing individual abilities?
Just try to honestly teach them some things that they haven't done lately in the last few years. Like you said, their strengths have been to score the basketball, and we feel, and I've talked about it quite a bit, as them being unselfish, being playmakers, other guys rely on them. And so we've really been harping on quick decisions, not being ball stoppers, and it's something that they're working on every day. It's we can always fall back on what they do naturally, but to incorporate that and get other guys shots, I think it'll benefit our team hugely. It's just almost like you have to prepare for two different things: the isolations, the post ups, the mismatches as far as that, but also the ball movement and some of the things we talked about. Quick decisions, 0.5 basketball. So they know we're really harping on that. We're really working on that, and we're to some extent overemphasizing that the first few days, first week or so, and putting in less actual plays so we can learn to play together in that way. And I think it'll benefit our team as well as some other guys on the team.
In-person question from Tim Bontemps.
Do you have a sense yet, Ime, of what you're going to do Monday in terms of, do you expect everybody to be available, and sort of, are you going to take a look at things, or are you going to kind of have, some guys playing and some guys sitting out?
Yeah, we're going to look at different lineups. The only guy that wouldn't be available is Juwan, that hasn't played, hasn't had any contact, but everybody else is available. And we're starting to already in practice. We had a scrimmage today that we're starting to look at the lineups and tinker with different people. We, want to see different combinations together. So what you see on day one and possibly game 2 and 3 in preseason will probably look different every night. And just want to see these lineups and see who stands out with certain groups. Like I said, it's not just about the starters, it's about finding the balance off the bench and who plays well together. So we're looking at that every day.
Thank you.
Next question, John Corrales.
In that vein, when you're going along and tinkering with the lineups and everything, you got new guys here and they're trying to establish roles. How do you approach when a guy's role is going to change? Maybe a guy who has started and you're going to say, this hasn't worked. How do you approach situations like that without losing a guy?
Well, we were pretty upfront in free agency of certain roles and things we saw with guys. So they know what it is coming in, honestly. We got guys that obviously have been here and the core guys, and we know who's going to start in certain situations. But what we did talk to guys openly about is what the role we saw them coming in. And a guy like Josh and Dennis, we spoke to them about what they could bring to enhance the team in general, and whether that's starting or coming off the bench, they were receptive to that. So we were straight up with them, and they know that coming in. And then the last part, we don't want to define roles early. We want them to kind of show us who they are. We got a good sense of that already, obviously, with a lot of our guys. But guys do put in the work in the summer. They've done well in summer league, open gym, and we don't want to just come in and define a role based on what they've been in the past years. We'll let them show us what they can do in camp as well. So that'll help determine what their role is going forward.
And what's your approach when it comes to team captains? Are you going to assign one? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, we've talked about it. I've talked about that with the staff. You got guys who have been here, the core guys, with Marcus, Jalen, Jason, they've been here forever. But you got a guy like Al who's coming back and is a veteran presence, a veteran voice that they all respect and listen to. So we're going back and forth on that. You can't you can't have 4 team captains, but it's something that we'll pick and choose. And we know some of the guys off top that everybody respects and listens to, and we'll just kind of go from there. I haven't determined it yet, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you going to assign one, or?
Yeah, we'll probably have 2. Yeah.
Adam Himmelsbach.
Hey, man. Romeo's had a tough time really being healthy this first couple of years. What are the keys to him having a successful year? What are the ways you think he can help you if he's out there with you?
Yeah, to your point, we talked about this with Rob the other day, as just being available is the first piece. And he's had some freak injuries. It's nothing consistent that's hampered him. It's been an ankle, a knee, and different things like that. So somewhat unlucky for him, and to get healthy and stay healthy is the first part. But he's worked extremely hard since day one, since I got here for my press conference. He was in the gym then, obviously going into summer league and the whole preseason before camp started. He's been working hard on his body and take care of himself. So that's the main thing. But just in general, he does a lot of things for us. Passing the ball, defending. Obviously, we'll continue to work on his shot there. But in general, he does a lot of things and checks a lot of boxes. I was, as I mentioned before, playing against him in Brooklyn last year. He was starting in the playoffs, so he has a trust factor with the guys. The guys are comfortable with him, and he checks a lot of boxes playing off those guys. So continue to work on that. Growth is something I've talked about with all our young guys, and he fits right in that category.
I know you've only been here for a minute, but I was wondering if you got a sense of like the crazy sports passion here, and in addition to that, all the hype and kind of attention on Tom Brady coming back and playing the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a known thing, regardless of where you're from or where you're at in the country. You know the Boston fan base, and you know how passionate they are about all their teams. And obviously, you've had a ton of winning here, so it breeds that success as well, and it carries over to all sports. So, being as far as that, Bill Belichick reached out to me. Those guys have all kind of called and welcomed me into the city and into the franchise, and saying we're a big family here. And you can't help but hear about the hype about Brady coming back, even though I'm not from here and not being from this part of the country. The importance and the history he has here and the winning tradition. So obviously it's a huge story and nationally, but you can feel it around the city. I stay in the downtown area where I see people coming and going for the Red Sox games. And so, that's what I love about the city in general. I said the expectations are high. They, passionate about their teams, and, the game tomorrow is obviously a huge thing. So looking forward to that.
Jared Weiss.
I mean, there's always a push and pull between wanting to be versatile in your lineups to catch teams off guard while making sure your guys know what their roles are and are prepared right. So you have a lot of versatility you can do with your lineups. How do you feel like you're planning on balancing those two things?
Well, it's not going to be a plug and play one night. Like we have 4 starters and there's another guy. We will determine the starting lineup, what fits best for us. So guys are not second guessing, am I starting this night or am I not? I've been on teams where we've done that before, and it is tough on players to know if they're going to play a certain role every night. And I think it's easier. We just feel like with our versatility, with our size, we can guard a lot of positions. So whether we start big every night, there are guys Al can guard if he's starting at the 4 on other teams, even when they're smaller. So, just because the team starts small doesn't mean, we're going to be at a disadvantage. We also want to make teams adjust to us. So something we're stressing is using our size. If we have Jalen and Jason at the 2 and the 3, they obviously have a size advantage there. So we're going to determine the starting lineup that fits best, and guys will know that that's an every night thing. So they'll get comfortable with that.
I know that was something guys struggled with last year, although it's a lot of it was just by necessity because of availability.
Yeah.
I guess how much of that decision is informed by how things went last year versus just your principles and how you like to do it?
I just like to, have a consistent lineup and guys know what their role is. But at the same time, to your point, if a guy has a scheduled game he may sit out, then we have to have the versatility and confidence in other guys to plug those gaps. So for the most part, like you mentioned, I am going to have a starting lineup. We're looking at that over the first 3 or 4 games of preseason as well as practices, but we'll whittle that down probably in the last game against Miami and kind of go forward. What you see there will be what we have going forward into the season.
Last question, Coach, is from Zoom from Abby Chin.
Hey, Ime, I'm going to continue on this theme. How much can we read into who your starting 5 are on Monday?
Not at all. Like I said, we just had a scrimmage today where we mixed and matched guys. We had Jalen and Jason going against each other at times, but I also want to build that chemistry that they've had over the years. So we had those guys, we switched it at halftime and had those guys playing together. We know the importance of that. So what you see on Monday will be us wanting to get a look at certain lineups more so than anything concrete, and shouldn't read into that at all. We got 3 or 4 games to figure it out, as well as all these practices, and we're going to look at every option there.
Thank you very much, Coach. We'll wrap it up right there.
Thank you.